Hi there, my name is Cole, and today we are going to be talking about different styles of LEGO car building. We're going to talk about some specific builders with noticeable styles. I'm not going to shout out everyone who does these styles, so if you or one of your favorite builders is not in this video, I have not intentionally excluded them. This video also doesn't mean that you should only build in one style. All of these styles are great, and if you like building LEGO cars, I encourage you to try multiple of these styles. There are also many more styles than this. I'm just highlighting the ones that I am most familiar with, and this is mostly ones related to 8-stud wide Speed Champion style cars. I'm also not saying that these builders are intentionally building these styles with these objectives in mind when they start building these. I'm more observing similarities between these models and just kind of talking about what strengths these styles have. I have linked to all of these builders in the description below, so if you want to see their Instagram or YouTube or whatever social thing they have, you can go check it out, and I highly recommend you do. So we're going to start with the beginner, which isn't necessarily a style, but is more of a stage that all the car builders go through. Well, all the LEGO builders, I guess. Anybody who tries to make anything, really. But I went through the beginner stage, and while I built a lot of mediocre and bad models, the stage allowed me to try a lot of different things and to copy other people's styles to see what I liked. So if you build like this, I just encourage you to keep going, because eventually you'll reach a point where you start to find a style and you'll become more and more happy with your models, and you'll get to a point where you're like, I think I'm okay at building now. Then we have what I'm going to call the clean style, and I realize this sounds incredibly generic, but this style is, I'm going to call it, sacrifices a bit of detail for better shaping. A great example of this is Mock Atelier on Instagram, as their models don't look especially complex if you look at them quickly, but if you look deeper, it'll take some more time. You realize they're incredibly intricate and bizarre techniques used. They often use some really wacky parts for shaping. Like his Ferrari P3, he has these Lego Scala doll shoes for the headlights. Just, I don't know how you find that, but it looks so good. He uses all sorts of strange parts like this, which result in really good shaping. And he also just uses some insane colors. There's a pearl gold Porsche 911, magenta Porsche, medium nougat on this Datsun Nissan 240Z, whatever it's called. And it makes them all the more impressive, because often when people try and build in unusual colors, the models end up looking a bit more compromised because parts are rarer in those colors. But Mock Atelier manages to just do these insanely clean, insanely nice looking models, which is so cool to see. Another great builder like this is Please Yes Please, and while he releases builds relatively infrequently, it's always really cool to see them when they are posted. Again, these models might seem a little bit simple compared to a lot of other popular builders, but they have great shaping all around, and I think they're very recognizable. This Porsche 911 here is one of my favorites. It's like there's nothing too crazy going on, but it just looks so nice, and combined with the photography, which is incredibly well lit, and just, I thought these are renders for the longest time until one day I asked, and they said they were not renders, and I was blown away by that. So this Audi wagon I also really like. Colors look incredible here, just the contrast of everything. They also have this series of what they call color spill. It's just a perfect kind of example of this clean style I'm talking about. It has really nice shaping and color, and it's so nice to look at when it's done. Next up, we have a style with another kind of wacky name that isn't really very remarkable, which I'm going to call the detailed style. And I realize this sounds redundant, because if we're building a model of a real car, then obviously we're going to try and put details on it that the real car has. But I'm going to kind of contrast this to the clean style by saying the detailed style maybe has slightly worse shaping and or more gaps in the model, stuff like that, but it'll have more detail than the clean models. I will say that most of these models that I call detailed do not look compromised at all. A great example of this is the G-Bricks, who a lot of you probably know. You can go follow on Instagram. He has a ton of incredible models, incredible amount of small details, nice shaping, and just really intense building techniques. I built some of his models before, and they're just crazy to put together. He recently made this Bugatti Tourbillon, I believe that's how you say it. Just crazy to look at it. The body goes from 8 to 9 studs wide. It's got so many subtle angles, so many different parts at different angles all around it. You can stare at it for so long. There's so much detail to take in. He has a whole bunch of models like this. So like I said, I really recommend you look at his Instagram and kind of take some of this in, because it's great inspiration. Another great example of this style is Fukusaku, also on Instagram, who builds a wide range of models from Star Wars ships, but also a lot of Speed Champion style cars. Now looking at this Porsche 911 991 generation GT3 RS, it's just so nice. There's so much good shaping around here, but it's a bit different than the clean model shaping. In this case, there's more parts used to shape things. There's more little details, especially around the front and rear bumper. This is a really good example of what I mean when I say this is a more detail focused model. He also built this BMW E36 M3, which is, I think this is as perfect as a model of this E36 M3 could be. I can't imagine any way you could make one better than this. So much just looking around here, the door sills, the front bumper, incredible amount of detail on this thing. And it's got opening doors and hood for something of this detail level, and he has a pink version, which is truly wild. Same deal with the GWERKS. He has so many good looking models. Highly recommend you go check out his Instagram. I recommend you check out all the people in this video that I linked to, because they are all really good builders. Now, some builders prioritize adding working functions to their models, such as opening doors and hoods. Now, someone you may have heard this, who does this quite frequently, is my friend David, aka Bricks, Blocks, and Knocks. Now, not all of his models have these functions, but he does seem to try pretty hard to integrate them. A good example is his Pagani Zonda, which, while it doesn't have opening doors or hood, it has like opening rear clamshell, which is a really cool detail, and a lot of the building on the inside goes towards making that open. A lot of his recent stuff have featured really nicely integrated functions, like the Ferrari 430, opening doors, engine cover, that type of thing. And he did this Transformers Bumblebee, which was like literally the whole thing is a function, which is very cool to see. Going to functions that are more unusual in LEGO models, we're going to talk about Bricko Builds on Instagram. Well, they made some really insane models like this Pagani Zonda R, which I'd say fits more into the detail category, but there's a functioning V12 engine back here with working pistons, which is so weird to wrap my head around. This is a digitally built, obviously, but this design has been tested and it functions in real life, which is bizarre, and I might have to build this one myself sometime. And they've done a couple other ones like the Ferrari 430 with a functioning engine and other stuff like that, and it's just, I don't think, this is something very unique at this scale, and I love to see it. It's so cool. The next one is not so much like a style of building as it is more of a goal or a thought process behind all the building, which is making a couple models in one theme. So a great example of this is SFH Bricks, who's made a considerable amount of Group C and LMDH race cars. He built the entire 2024 LMDH grid, which is so sick to see. He also has a unique style where he builds more clean, well-shaped models, and then he adds a whole bunch of complex stickers to add a whole bunch of detail to them, and I think it looks really sick, and it's very unique and makes his model stand out among others quite nicely. And then another example of this would be NV Carmox, and he builds a lot of different models. Occasionally he will do this. He'll build a lineup from a Top Gear special or a Grand Tour special, some stuff from Transformers, lineups from James Bond films, just a lot of really cool, unique cars that you don't see built too often in LEGO. Now, LEGO set alternate builds are somewhat common these days, but Ilya Builder 724 is probably only a builder who almost exclusively focuses on them. This results in maybe the highest quality alternate builds I've ever seen, to the point where they don't look like alternates anymore. So some of my favorite recent builds of theirs include the Ferrari F80 made from the F40 set, this Corvette made from the old Supra set. There are a ton of these models. I highly recommend you give the profile look, and all of them have free instructions as YouTube videos, so this is an insane resource. You should go check it out. It's crazy. So many of these look so good. It's insane. So there we have 6 or so styles of LEGO car building. Let me know what other styles you think exist, because like I said, these are somewhat subjective, and maybe you think of them differently than I do, and I might have just forgotten of some, so let me know what you think. And there are obviously more different scales. This is mostly 8 stud wide scale. There are much smaller scales and bigger scales and different styles in those scales, so but either way, I hope this inspired you to try building something different. And with that, I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope to see you watching the next video, but if not, have a great day.